Hello and welcome to episode 12 of the Stranger Conversations podcast. On today's episode, I speak with Layne Storrier. He's an impressive human being. He's an endurance athlete, record holder. He's Australian. Just an all-around good guy and someone I recently had the great fortune of meeting. But before we jump straight into the conversation with Layne, as always, I want to encourage you to sign up for the show and to be my next guest here on the podcast. Every episode belongs to the guest, and you're welcome to talk about or promote anything that you'd like here on the show. Bottom line, this podcast is about really just meeting interesting people and sharing their stories. So if you'd like to hit record on your life and share your story with others, visit strangerconversationspodcast.com or realtayjones.com/podcast. Find a date and a time that on our calendar that works for you, and we'll connect. Pretty simple. If being the next guest on the podcast, maybe isn't something for you, but you happen to know someone who would be an excellent guest, someone that has, an incredible life story, something that they'd like to share with the world, and that if they would be interested, share the show with them, encourage them to sign up. I'd really appreciate it. All past and future episodes of the podcast are all available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, as well as my website. So don't forget to like, follow, share, and subscribe to the Stranger Conversations podcast so you don't miss the conversations to come and to, help spread the word about what we're trying to build here. So also, be sure to follow me at Real Tay Jones on most social media platforms. I would appreciate it. Links to me and the podcast, as well as additional links to connect further with Layne, kind of follow along with his journey. They're all going to be here in this episode's show notes. So head on over there and see what we have going on. We're also trying to do something new with this episode, bring in a video version of this conversation to YouTube. So make sure you go on over to YouTube, Stranger Conversations Podcast, subscribe and follow along. All right, it's now time to introduce you to Layne Storrier. So enjoy, and we will catch you next time. All right, Layne Storrier. That's how you pronounce your name, right, buddy?
Yeah, that's it, mate. That's it.
Storrier. Okay. All right, great. So really appreciate you doing the podcast. You're not exactly a total stranger to me, which is usually kind of, what the podcast is about. But I feel like I only know a little bit about you, but everything that I've gotten to know about you over the small amount of time we've spent together, it's been, just amazing. It seems like you have a really incredible story. It seems like you're have really changed your life quite a bit. You've broken some records in the endurance athlete arena. So I'd love to jump into some of that. But really what we do on the podcast is really kind of just get to know somebody on a personal level. So yeah, just, I'd love to get to know a little bit more about you. Obviously, I can tell by whatever that flag is in the background, you are Australian. And of course, by the accent and potentially the wild hair might also be Australian too. But where are you at right this second?
I got Skippy the boxing kangaroo in the background here, but we've just moved up the Sunshine Coast. So I guess you call it east, northeast sort of Australia.
Okay.
Right on the beach, like we're literally 300 meters away from the water, which it's just paradise. Like I love it up here. Like I grew up on farmland, so I never thought I'd be a beach person, but yeah, moving to the beach, it's been a really nice change of pace. Like I've sort of done a couple of years in Brisbane City, which is like a major city in Australia as well. And I didn't like that pace. It was just so busy all the time. But now we've moved up here. You just see everyone walking all day. Like it's a pretty much like, there's a lot of retirees in this area as well. So everyone's always happy all the time. So it's really nice and relaxing. It's a perfect area for me.
Is it pretty populated where you guys are at right now?
Yeah, it's just like a normal suburb. Like there's Sunshine Coast goes over probably about a 45-minute to an hour drive along the coast. It's just pretty much populated right along the coast. So there's just like one highway that just goes straight up along the coast. And then, so I'm not actually sure what the population of the Sunshine Coast is, but Caloundra, where we live, is like a little smaller location in that. And there would only be 10 to 15,000 people in there. So it's pretty tight-knit, I guess.
And you said you grew up on farmland. So this is quite a different experience for you. Where is the farmland in Australia? Where's that?
That's in New South Wales. So sort of, I guess you call it like middle, halfway down, and then off the east coast, about 6 to 8 hours inland from there. So yeah, like
It's a big place, that's for sure.
it's a big place. Like, so I was lucky enough to grow up just an hour and a half out of Sydney. So we grew up on 10 acres out there. But then all my family, they came from, we used to actually have a hobby farm when I was between the ages of 8 and 11. And that was 30,000 acres as a hobby farm.
Hobby farm? 30,000 acres?
Yeah, as a hobby farm. Yeah. So it ended up being more than a hobby at the end of it. But we got hit by a pretty bad drought at the end, and all the sheep ended up dying and everything. But yeah, like a lot of work went into it. But yeah, that was originally just a hobby farm to show us kids what my dad grew up on.
30,000. So you got to grow up on 30,000 acres of land that you could just run around and do whatever you wanted, I'm assuming.
We would literally, so we had that from the ages of, I was about 8 to 11. And I had an older cousin who he's 3 or 4 years older than me. So at that stage, he would have been between like 13 to 16.
Mm-hmm.
And me get on the motorbikes, and we could ride all day and not hit the other side of the property. We would literally light fires. We used to eat like lizards and everything. Like we just, but yeah, that was a really cool way of growing up, and just like so much freedom. I look back at it and the amount of freedom that we used to have growing up. It just blows my mind, because I look at kids that are now 10 or 9 or 10, 11, whatever. And I'm like, there's no way. Like, we used to go out and be completely by ourselves for probably 10 hours. But like the silly stuff that we used to do, like we used to pick up like sheets of tin trying to find snakes, and trying to find like centipedes and like poisonous centipedes and stuff like that. Like, yeah, just real wild stuff. And I'm just like, what were my parents thinking just letting us do that? But that was how we grew up, which I think it was a really good way to grow up.
Yeah, man, it's almost like you had, because you're not very old. How old are you?
I'm 26.
26. So you actually, I feel like you had more of a childhood like I had, and I'm 46. So, there's 20 years between us, but I feel like you kind of missed that, kids these days, a lot of people that are 26 years old are not, didn't grow up the way that you grew up. So that's actually pretty special. I think you got lucky with your hobby farm. Yeah.
I got very lucky, very lucky. Like, I look at it now, and even like my schooling years, like I was always the year that still had to carry around the textbooks and stuff like that. But the year after me was always the year that got the laptops and the iPads and everything like that. Mm. And I just feel like it affected their attitude and their learning so much, and how they like their attention span to be able to stay on task and all that. So I got very lucky with my age group, that's for sure.
Yeah. Wow, that's great. And so how long did you stay there before you moved away?
So like we just had 3 years there. So we would go out there every holidays. And then when the drought struck, my dad would have to go out there every weekend. So I used to actually fly out there, because it was about an 8 to 9 hour drive out there.
Yeah.
And then, he would fly out there and have to give the sheep salt and molasses to pretty much just try and keep them alive. But yeah, like that was just a small part of like us growing up. And like I said, I'm super lucky with my parents. Like they were builders. So I grew up my whole life on a job site. Pretty much as soon as I could walk, I was on a job site, which was pretty cool. Like I guess I got the school of hard knocks pretty early, and I learned the tough lessons pretty quick. Like Dad didn't take it easy on me. So I grew up pretty quick, and I wanted to leave school when I was like 13 or 14. But my parents wouldn't let me, which probably a blessing in disguise now. But I also would work all the time. Like I ended up doing it. I was lucky enough to do it over here. There's a thing called a school-based apprenticeship. So it's very common that most kids over here, if you're going to go and get a trade, you stop school at 16. So you get to year 10, and then you just leave school and you go and do like a full-time apprenticeship. You don't go to college or anything like that. So what I wanted to leave at 14, but my parents were like, look, if you get to year 10, then we'll do a thing called a school-based apprenticeship, where you go to school 3 days a week, and then one day you go to trade school, and then one day you actually go to work. So I done that through year 11 and 12, and that gave me so much freedom, because I was able to go to school, still with all my mates, go and learn what I was actually going into once I left school. And then, that just ended up perfect for me, and I was super driven in that. Like I love building. I've stopped doing it at the moment, but it's such a passion for me. Like it just sort of lights me up, and I'm always thinking about different stuff when I can build.
No, yeah, I want to dive into that a little bit, but I'm curious if you do that 11 age, or grade 11 and 12, are you considered graduating high school? Like that's part of your education by
Yeah, correct.
doing this work apprenticeship thing? Man,
Yeah.
that's amazing. I could see one of our kids doing that for sure. If that was an available program, he's actually going to go into a more of that like vocational thing for welding. But it's not a full on, he basically goes there and gets his, I guess certificate, but it wouldn't be, the rest of his kind of school to really, just start driving into a profession. I think that's a pretty interesting way to do it. So you definitely grew up hardworking. That sounds like you had a pretty good work ethic. Is that, and I kind of mentioned it, right, with some of your endurance athlete stuff. Do you think, is that kind of what drove you to that? Were you always an active person because of the hard work you were always in, or is it totally different when you're, just swinging a hammer, say?
Yeah, I think it's pretty different because, to be honest, like when I did leave school, I wasn't really that into fitness. We have a sport over here called rugby league, which I know you know about rugby in America, but it's a different version of that. And it's very popular here. Like all my mates played it, and it's a very heavily drinking culture. So it's very different to America, where like you only play, say, for example, you'll play college football, and then like if you don't make it, you sort of stop playing and that's it. Whereas over here, once you turn 18, you can then start playing opens rugby league, and it is with anyone up to like the age of 45, and everyone, it's sort of just like it's a big culture thing of people play that their whole lives, but it's also like the drinking involved in that is just massive. Like all the time, you train like Tuesday, Thursday nights, and you go out for drinks after it, and then you play your games on either a Saturday or a Sunday on the weekend. You go out drinking after it. And it's just a big drinking culture. So during that stage, once I did leave school, I played league for about 3 or 4 years and just worked really hard on the job site, but then I would also party just as hard as well. So I wasn't really thinking too much about fitness or being healthy in that way. But then when I did start going down that path of chasing my fitness journeys and stuff like that, I think it made it a bit of an easy mindset shift, because you look at a lot of my upbringing, I was working about 12 hours on a job site most days. So you look at that and you're like, oh, that's pretty tough yuck out. Like you're working in, it's probably for you guys, it'd be like 105 to 110 degrees in the heat all day. And you're doing 12-hour days in that. So that's like pretty hard work. Whereas then when you want to go for a run that's only 2 hours or 3 hours, you're like, oh, look, that could be way worse. That was always like my mindset of like, oh, you've done plenty of other and bad stuff or hard work in your life. It was like a changeover straight from that. And then, like you also learn to enjoy, I learned to enjoy running and going to the gym a bit more and stuff like that, which, for me growing up wasn't a normal thing at all. Like I just used to play sport for playing sport and having a bit of fun. But I was never super driven to try and become good at sports. Like I always, in the back of my head, I was like, oh yeah, it'd be really cool to like play professional rugby league or something like that. But I look back at it now and I never had that drive that if I wasn't very committed to it.
Yeah. So what kind of changed? What made you want to start to pursue, endurance or even just fitness in general?
Well, for me, it was actually 75 hard, which is funnily enough, like that's how we've met through first form and through Jenna. But yeah, so my sister brought home, like I was on the tools, and my sister brought home, it was when Andy went to Real AF, and it was like his 7th episode or something like that. And he's like, I think he'd done like a refresher on 75 hard. And I sort of listened to that podcast and I was like, oh, look, at that stage I was still like right in my party phase and everything like that. I was like, oh, it just doesn't seem like who would want to drink 3.8 liters of water? Who would want to work out all that time? And I really just like dismissed it straight away. But I enjoyed all his entrepreneurial stuff as well. So I kept on listening to the podcast for that stuff because like I've always been a very entrepreneurial mindset of person. So like I would keep listening to it, and then like every say 4 or 5 episodes, they would like go into a deep dive about 75 hard, and I probably got about I don't know, 30 to 40 episodes in, and I just like kept on hearing 75 hard pop up, 75 hard pop up. And then I would always like say that excuse of like, oh, well, after New Year's, I'll start doing it. Or after this, I'll start doing it. And like, that was only like halfway through the year. So I was like already booking myself. Like I wasn't going to do it for another 6 months. And then in one of his podcasts, he goes, look, if you're thinking about doing it, like there's never a right time to do it. Like you've just got to do it now. And that was like the week after I just turned 23. And I was like, you know what? Like, I'm just going to stop. Like, I'm just going to do it and just like commit to it. And that really changed my mindset because I hadn't been tested like that before. So like I was waking up at 4 o'clock in the morning, probably earlier, to go to the gym before work, then go and work all day. Like I can remember one day, I think it was in like day 6 or day 7. It was like we had floods down here and I was still working on the job site. Like the job site was still open. So I got up at probably about 4 o'clock, done my gym workout inside, I was working about an hour away. So I drove down to work, worked all day, got home, and then I had an interview for my new job. So I had to go and do that interview till like 6:30 or 7 o'clock at night. And then I got home by like 8:30, and it was still like thunderstorming. The park that I walked around was literally, I don't know, like 6 inches in water. And I was just walking around circles around this park, and it was just like thunderstorming around me. And I was like, if I was going to quit, I'm like, this would be the day that I was like going to quit early on. But yeah, like once I sort of just started getting into that mindset of like, oh, once you say you're going to do something, go and do it. Like really built a big catalyst for me. And I finished like over 75 hard was a massive, like if I had to pick one biggest changing moment in my life, it was definitely that, because it sort of helped me realize like who my real friends were, what I actually wanted from life, what I was actually doing with my life as well. So I think I was leaving a lot on the table in that sort of aspect as well. And I thought I had a lot of friends, but I really had a lot of drinking buddies. And at the start of 75 hard, I was like, look, my one thing is if I'm going to do this, I still want to be social. So I still want to go out and like, I don't want to just be like, oh, I'm doing 75 hard. I'm not going to go out for 75 days. Like I was like, I still want to go out and like learn to overcome that. For me, that was like a big thing of like going out and not drinking was like a massive thing for me to overcome. Like in Australia, we have this thing called Dry July, which is where you don't drink for July and you like raise money for charity.
Okay.
And the year before I tried to do that and I failed 3 times in the month. Wow. So like, it's like an aspect of like how much I struggled to like go out and not drink. So then, yeah, like when I started going out and not drinking, I realized like a lot of just like little things that my mates were doing. And I was like, oh, I've never really realized that before. And then like the more that you go out and you don't drink, and then they feel uncomfortable because you're not drinking. And then they're like, oh, well, just drink. And you're like, no, like I'm fine. Like it doesn't bother me anymore. And then they start getting the pressure put on them because you're not drinking. And then it sort of just like causes a bit of friction. So yeah, like I lost, like I said, I lost a lot of drinking buddies in that stage. But it's all for the better. Like I've made so many good friends now coming out of that, and actually people that like I've still got a lot of mates from that stage that supported me through that. But then, yeah, I've also made a lot of friends now that I guess like our new lifestyle is just like a lot more based around fitness and helping each other out. And then like it's a real powerful friendship as well, because we're not scared to call each other on our bullshit. Like I feel like when you got mates that you drink around and stuff like that, like you let the bullshit slide a lot more. Whereas like now me and my mates, like one of them, he's been sober for 2 years now. And he's just like me and him just talk like so straight to each other. Like if we say something and like we catch each other on the bullshit, it's just like straight up like, and there's no offense taken to it, which is really cool as well.
That's awesome. Yeah. It's, when you form bonds over doing like hard shit together, right? It's not very hard to go out and drink together. That friendship, isn't as strong as when, you're holding each other accountable for things and you're actually, doing the hard things and you're doing them together. It's, much different mindset, everything. Is it something, did you quit drinking completely when you started 75 hard?
Yeah, so I'd done 75 hard, so I didn't drink that whole time. And then, well, obviously you don't drink during 75 hard. And then at that stage, I was still in that mindset of like, oh, once I finish it, like I'll go and drink. And I think the weekend after I had like a wedding to go to. And I went to this wedding and I was with my ex-partner. And I got there, I was like, oh, I'm looking forward to just like sort of letting loose and having a few drinks. And I think I had about 4 beers, and I also ate like a heap of chocolate cake and that as well. And I just like felt so sick. I was like, oh, I just like got 4 beers. I had 4 beers and I was like, oh, I don't really feel like drinking anymore. I was like, my guts were just turning as well. And then the next day I just woke up and I was like, I felt like you just had undone all that hard work sort of thing for the past 75 days. So then after that, I didn't drink for probably another 6 months. And then I had like one night where I sort of drank a little bit. And then after that, so I drank, twice after 75 hard. And then I had 2 years off drinking completely. And during that stage, I was like, I'll probably never drink again. And then last year, I sort of felt like I'd done the work of like being able to control myself if I wanted to go out and actually have it, like socialize with people. Cause like still, I do have mates that still drink as well. And it's like, it's just, I never knew I could never control myself when I was drinking and doing all the hard work on myself. I was like, look, I feel like I can go out now and actually control who I am when I drink. So I helped crew one of my mates. He was doing a 100-mile race in Australia here. So I went and supported him for that race, and they had the finish line at a brewery, and it was just like such an awesome thing. They had a 200-mile race on there and a 100-mile race on, and everyone finished at the brewery, and everyone was just sitting around having a good time. Like all these people just like achieved such an amazing accomplishment. And I just realized like how everyday people they were. Like everyone sort of sat back, had a drink, had a laugh. And I was like, oh, you know what? Like I was so in this mindset of like drinking's really bad. But I was like, I think it's only really bad if like you can't control yourself when you want to drink. So like I sat down, had a few beers with those guys. And that was when obviously I broke that 2 years sober then. But like it wasn't like for me like, oh, yep, now you got to go and start drinking every weekend. Like even that was at the start of last year. And even since then, I've only drank twice. So I haven't really drank this year at all. So it's just one of those things. Like if I feel like I might go to maybe someone's wedding or something that's like meaningful, and I'm like, oh, I want to just like socialize and have a couple of drinks. I feel like I've got that power now where I can go and do that. But then also like I've learned to relax a lot of myself whilst being sober. So I enjoy going out and actually remembering every conversation and remembering everything I do. Because for me, that was like a big thing. I used to drink till I was blackout drunk and I couldn't remember anything from any night out. And my dad used to be like, what do you mean you can't remember anything? Like, because he used to drink, he still drinks now, but like he used to drink a lot as well. And he's like, I can always remember my nights out. And I'm like, I cannot, like, I remember like the first hour and then I would just black out. So that was a big thing for me, like actually remembering what I was doing. And like, there's been times where I had woken up and like that front tooth's a fake tooth. And I woke up and I didn't know how I lost it.
Really?
My mum walked into my room and she's like, oh, I saw a photo from you last night. Do you have all your teeth? And I'm like, what? I felt my front tooth missing. And she's like, what do you do? Did you get in a fight or like, what happened? And I was like, I genuinely got no idea. Like the last thing I remember at the pub at 7 o'clock at night, like I don't remember what I'd done for the rest of my night. And I had to ring up all my mates and try and like find out what happened. But
together the story a little bit. Yeah.
Yeah, the story. Like, and I was just like, it was so crazy that a whole night had just completely gone. So yeah, like little bits like that. I can't believe I didn't realize how bad that was and how unnormal that was. But yeah, that was the lifestyle I was living at that stage. So yeah, it's pretty cool now that I can go out all the time. I always feel good. Like even if I do go out and my mates are drinking, like I'm happy to have a good time. I'm probably the silliest person there, even if I don't drink. So that doesn't really bother me anymore now. Like at the start, it was a real struggle for me to be like, oh, everyone else is drinking. It felt like all eyes were just on me. But now I'm like, no one really cares that much. Like, and if they do, it's not your fault. It's their fault that they care. So that's work that they've got to do in their own life.
Yeah, it's amazing how many lives like 75 hard has changed. You know, and I mean, even me, like I've been drinking my whole life. You know, I came from small town Alaska. That's just what you do. You know, there's nothing else to do but to just drink. And so we did that all the time. You know, carried that on forever. I mean, doing 75 hard, I've done it multiple times. You know, doing the 75 hard was, you know, those 75 days. That'd be like the longest you'd go without drinking. It feels amazing. But then you kind of slide back into it. You know, start. You know, just kind of treating yourself like a roller coaster again, and then you realize, like you said, oh, this makes me feel terrible. But now that I've done it several times and I'm going through Live Hard right now, which you've done as well, right?
Yep.
So I'm about to start phase 3 of Live Hard, but but now I'm just kind of in that stage where, where you're at. It's awesome that you learned that, much younger, but now I'm kind of more like, I feel like crap, especially when you're older. I mean, your hangover just lasts forever. It's not worth it. But yeah, occasionally it's fine. But, and probably explain a little bit on how we met. So 75 Hard through First Form, Andy Frisella. So we were down at First Form headquarters in St. Louis, and you and Taylor, your partner, girlfriend, fiance, are you guys?
We're not fiance yet, but yeah.
Okay, all right. I don't want to. No pressure. But
Layne.
Yeah, but it was an amazing time. We go down there for a team weekend, and then you and Taylor just kind of show up in the RV. You're in an RV traveling America for 3 months, and you just kind of slid into the group and hung out with us, and just kind of made a quick connection there with you guys. And but just being at First Form headquarters, I mean, talk about changing lives. I mean, that place is unbelievable, and so many people there coming, in not just in the group that we were in, but people who work there. Everybody, that place is just amazing. Changed millions of lives, and especially through 75 Hard. I mean, I'd say it's definitely changed my life. It's changed your life. It's changed millions of people. I mean, I have no doubt that it really is the world's most famous mental toughness program, because it does. It really does change the way that you think, especially when you start doing it, especially through the Live Hard, because it's not just 75 days. Oh, I'm going to do another 75 days. You kind of have to plan the whole year, and then eventually it's just a habit. You just kind of live that way, which is the whole point of Live Hard. So, so you had watched these people run like 100-mile, 200-mile races. Like, you just went to the race, right? You weren't a part of that race.
So I was crewing my mate, which is like we jump in at certain stages and we'll run with him through certain distances. But he ended up having like a knee issue, so he only made it probably about 85 miles, and he had to pull out with 15 miles to go. But the beautiful thing of that, like, I've been lucky enough to go and help a lot of my friends. Like I've done a 100-kilometer race, which is, what's that? Probably like 65 miles or something like that. So I've done that before, but like a lot of my friends are very, like, my two of my really good mates, they're actually racing this weekend in Brisbane doing a 65-mile race. And that's like, they both want to finish they both want to win it. So it's going to be like neck on neck, just going for it. Which is like, that's like pushing yourself to redlining pretty much for, it's going to take them between like maybe 11 to 12 hours of just like complete redlining. But yeah, like I've crewed a lot of my friends through trying to just achieve like long distances. So I had one friend, she tried to do a 200-mile race. I'm a bit of bad luck actually as a crew member. So she tried to do a 200-mile race, and they gave you a 60-hour cutoff to try and do 200 miles. So you had to be moving pretty quick that whole time. And I think she made it about 130 miles before she pulled out. And there was only one person that finished that race. And then I just had another friend. We went down to Melbourne, which is south of Australia, and it was freezing cold down there, but that was a 135-mile race, but that's the Southern Hemisphere's hardest race to do. So it's 135 miles, and you do 16,000 meters of elevation, which is the height of Everest twice, over 135 miles. And they just send you straight through the bush. It's not on a track or anything. They literally just have pink markers all through the bush. It is like the craziest thing I've done. So that was the last year that they were doing it. So they invited back every year, every winner of every year that's been there. And normally they have about 10 to 15 people that sign up. This year they had 46 people there, and there was 16 people that had previously finished the race. So 16 previous finishers on that start line. And then even then, with all that caliber of athletes, only 4 people finished the race this year. So like, it's pretty cool to like put yourself around people that that way of thinking. Like, they're just a whole different breed. Like, some of their mindsets are just so locked in, but then they're also like, everyone's so different as well. Like some people you look at them, they're just like so organized. Everything's got to be like this every 15 minutes, this every half an hour. And then there was this one young guy, he was probably about my age, maybe a little bit younger actually. And the morning of the race, we just went downstairs and had brekkie at our hotel. And there was this guy there and he was just wearing joggers. And I was like, oh, I'm like, if you're up at 4:30 in the morning, you're wearing joggers. I'm like, you're probably doing that race. So I looked at him, I said, oh, mate, you're doing the Down Under race today? He goes, oh, yeah, I am. And he was just like this country bloke. And I'm like, oh, you got anyone supporting you or helping you out at all? And he goes, I just drove down here myself last night. And he goes, I'm just going to take like a couple of plastic bags and give them to people, give them to the race directors to take around the course. And I was like, oh, well, if you want a hand, like, let me know.
Wow.
I'll like try and get some stuff if you need anything from the shops or whatever. He goes, he goes, it'll be right. I'll just keep going. So like him compared to my mate had like all the nutrition, like this has got to happen here, this has got to happen here. And then we get to that would have been about, nearly 100 miles into not quite 100 miles, just before 100 miles in. And this guy had overtaken my mate and he's just like walking through and he like sits down, like, oh, I'll give you a hand, like sit down at the checkpoint, I'll help you out. And like I take off his like backpack and like normally people have got like sports mixes and stuff. And he's like, oh no, just put water in my backpack. That's fine. And then he takes off his shoes and he's got like the biggest blisters I've ever seen in my life. Like his whole foot was nearly a blister. And he goes, oh, that doesn't look good. And he goes, anyway, just pulls his like a new pair of socks back on, puts his shoes on, and just walks off. And I was like, I'll be damned. Like I cannot believe this is like so different. People are just so different. So it's really cool to see that sort of aspect.
Yeah, I mean, you'd have to be different, even just to sign up for a 200-mile, or that one's 130 miles, 135 miles, that he said. Yeah, I mean, that's insane. Just to even think, especially that guy, he just kind of walks off the street. He's like, yeah, I'll do it. Obviously, he's trained, but yeah, that's pretty impressive. Yeah, I mean, so what, crewing and seeing people, is that kind of what made you want to actually like maybe pursue it? Because you have a record of some sort, right?
Yeah, so I've done 36 half Ironmans in 36 days. So
it's consecutive days, right?
Consecutive days, yep. So every morning I'll get up about, I think it was, I get up every morning at about 4:15, get ready, go down to the local pool, and then I'd swim the 1.9 kilometers there. I don't know how many miles, a bit over a mile there. And then we'd go to the local shopping center. That's where we had our base for the bike and the run. And then, I'd do the bike ride out, which took about a little bit over 3 hours every day, or maybe around 3 hours, depending on how it was. And then I'd get back and then I'd do the half marathon as well. So we'd finish up at about 2:00 every day. But yeah, that was a really cool part of my life. We raised about $50,000 for cystic fibrosis, which was really cool. But like it was just, I feel like for me, I've got so many different parts about my life, and that was probably a year segment of like doing different trainings. And I actually got really inspired by when I listened to Andy had the Iron Cowboy on his podcast.
Yeah, guy's amazing.
He was like the one that there was a podcast where he sort of helped Andy figure out the 75 hard. He's like, oh, like do this or whatever. And then Andy was like, oh, actually, we could make that 75 hard and whatnot. And so, like, listening to that podcast, I was like, oh, wow, this guy is just amazing. So then I watched his documentary, and that blew my mind. I was just like, oh, that has got to be, like, the toughest human ever. Like, as soon as I saw that, I was like, there is no doubt that is the toughest guy to ever live. Like, I don't care what anyone says, for him to put his body through that. So straight after that, I went to, like, a local triathlon club. I'd never really, like, I'd done a little bit of running. I'd never swam before in my life, and I'd never really ridden a bike. And I rocked up there and I'm like, oh, like I want to do an Ironman. And they're like, they all just took me like, oh, do you swim? Do you ride a bike? And I'm like, oh no, I've never done that. Like, I'd like to do an Ironman by the end of this year. And this stage, it was like probably April or whatever. And everyone's like, oh, mate, you don't understand how much goes into an Ironman. And I was like, oh, okay. But like, you should just do this half Ironman. There was one that was closer, like, I think it was like, maybe 8 weeks away. Like, at least you'll get to train for it and then you like actually enjoy it. And I was so lucky, or probably so glad that I'd done that before I went and just done a straight Ironman, because like even doing the half Ironman was hard, but like if you just went and just done a full Ironman straight away, like it is just brutal. Like it's so much time. And then after that, I was like, oh my God, that really gave me a cool perspective on how much training the Iron Cowboy had obviously put into it. And then after that, one of my mates was like to me, oh, like literally as soon as I finished my first half Ironman, the longest distance I'd ever ran was the half marathon in that half Ironman. One of my mates was like, oh, I've just signed up for a 100-kilometer race at Mount Kosciuszko, which is the highest place in Australia, which isn't that high compared to any of the old mountains in America. But he's like, yeah, he's like, you should come and do it. And I think I had about 8 weeks, and I was like, yeah, why not? Like, I'll just do that. So I went and done that, and that was really cool. Like the furthest I'd ran before that, I'd done the 100 kilometers, about 25K. So anywhere, like after I'd done 25 kilometers, that whole 75K after that was just complete unknown territory.
Wow.
Which was really cool. Like it really put myself in some dark spots, like dark places. And that took about 6 hours. And I was like, oh, this endurance stuff, it's like really cool. Like you get to really find yourself. And then after that, I was like, oh, I just like started thinking about little bits and pieces, like what could be a good next challenge. And then I just came up with starting to look at, like, I was like, obviously, like at that stage, I was like, I'd love to try and break the Iron Cowboy's record he had 101 at that stage. And I was like, I just don't think you can go for that off no. So I was like, I should see what the record for half Ironmans is. And at that stage, 35. So I was like, I'll try and break that. So yeah, I spent the year of 2023 training for that, and then broke that record in September, which, yeah, it was really cool. It was, yeah, a lot of time committed to it. And yeah, like I just was really cool to be able to raise money for cystic fibrosis and sort of help change some people's lives as well along the way. And then I also had like such an amazing crew of like friends and everyone that came down and supported. So, but then after that, I don't know, it sort of left me feeling like a little bit empty in a way. I think you look at all these big fitness events and like you see the highs that everyone has, but I also don't think like you see the lows as well. So like after it, like you're on this big high of like 36 days, in a way, like everything's about you. You've always got people coming down to support and everything. And then as soon as it's done, you're just like, oh, what's like a normal life now? Like that was a big thing to like, figure out. Like that whole year, everything that I'd done had a focus on doing this event. Like I was always trying to raise money, always doing my training. All my work was like revolved around giving me time to train. And then like I finished it and I was like, oh, what am I doing in my life anymore? Like, do I want to go and do something like that again? Or, and I just like got probably like not stuck in a rut, but just was like very unclear about what I wanted from my life again. So I like signed up to do an Ironman because I was like, oh, well, everyone's like asking me what was my next big thing going to be. So I'd done an Ironman, and I sort of really started losing a lot of love for like long distance triathlon, because I don't really like swimming. I hate swimming, to be honest. Like I can't swim to save myself. And then bike riding, I don't really find that fun. Like I love running, but I like didn't really like swimming and bike riding. And I was like, you spend a lot of time on a bike and a lot of time swimming. And
yeah, no kidding.
So after that, I was just like, you know what, I'm just going to like focus on going and doing more running and doing what I love and just training to be fit, which is really what I've been doing for the last probably 9 months, I guess. Like I'm just really trying to be like as fit as possible. Like me and my partner have just signed, like me and my partner Tay have just signed up for jiu-jitsu. So I've been doing jiu-jitsu for the last 6 weeks. And
it's awesome.
Yeah, it's awesome. Like it's just so cool. Like we're just constantly learning new stuff while also just like trying to remain as strong as possible, as fit as possible. Like every week I still run a minimum of 20 miles every week just to like keep myself fit, because all my other mates are just getting fitter and fitter. So I got to try and keep that base level of this. But yeah, like it's just a really cool. I find it enjoyable just to like go and train and have fun and have a laugh and not take it too serious. I think that was probably the biggest thing that took away the fun of like long distance triathlon training for me, because it just got so stuck in just like hours on hours of training, and it just took a lot of fun away from it for me.
Yeah, man, I know, because my wife has run a few marathons, and the training, it's insane. You know, even just to do one marathon, much less a triathlon or a half triathlon. You know, I mean, she'd be like, all right, I'll be gone. She'd be gone all day just to train, because she's got to go run 20 miles or whatever for the training bits of it. So yeah, it's so much. It's a lot of effort. Go ahead. Yeah.
No, you go. No, go for it. I'm done.
Oh, I was just gonna say. So, seeing other people and how they attack some of these races, kind of more loosey-goosey, or people who are real dialed in? What's your style? Do you really plan everything ahead and make sure you have everything, or do you just kind of go out there and trust yourself and kind of go for it?
I'm a bit of a mixer. Like, to be fair, I'm probably more a bit loosey-goosey now. Like, I know exactly what I got to do. Like, got to eat the right amount of food during the race or whatever. But like, I'm not structured where I'm like, this has got to be like this. Like, if something drops out of my bag, I'm just like, okay, what else can I eat, or what else can I have? And then I'm also not like, especially in like that long distance running or anything like that, like I'm not super competitive. Like, I'm not good enough to be super competitive. So for me, I just get out there and have fun, to be honest. Like, when I've done my 100-kilometer run, I spoke for it took me 16 hours, and I reckon I spoke for speaking to people for like 15 hours of it. Like, I just did not shut up the whole like, anyone that would come near me, I'd just be like, yep. And I think towards the end of it, a lot of people are like, oh, I'm glad like I'm not around this guy anymore, because I just enjoy being around people and talking and having a good time. So yeah, I'm probably a bit more like loosey-goosey, just go in there and just like not try and set a quick pace or anything. Like, I'd just like get it done, really.
Yeah. Just get it done. Yeah. Interesting. I mean, that's a lot. 36 half triathlons in 36 consecutive days. I mean, were you working at the time? How did I was gonna say, how could you even do that? So yeah, you were really dedicated basically that whole time to make sure that happens, all the training, and then actually doing 36 days worth. Man, that's nuts. I hate running. Yeah. I don't, I hate the water, so I don't like to swim. And, bicycling, I can take it or leave it, so I don't know if a triathlon's in my future at all, but it's damn impressive. I mean, what do you think was probably one of the biggest lessons you learned? I'm assuming you've learned something about, mindset, endurance, going through that, pushing yourself through 36 days of hell. I mean, what did you pick up from that?
I think it's like, and it's something that I'm like really trying to like take away at the moment. Like, for me, at the moment, like I'm trying to like grow my personal brand and like sort of start my own coaching branch or something like that as well. Like, I'm a little bit unsure, but like I've been very like lucky to be successful in a lot of things in life. Like, I was successful in building. I then went into property investing. I was successful at that. Obviously done my half Ironmans. I was successful at that. And I try and like look back at all those things, and I'm like, what was the catalyst and why did that happen? And I think it was because like when I set my mind on it, it was like I didn't really give myself any other opportunity for it not to happen. I was like, this is what's happening no matter what, really. Yeah. Whether it's a good day, whether it's a bad day, like get out there and make it happen. And I think like after the half Ironmans and stuff like that, and I think like trying to grow like a personal brand, and that you hear everyone say like, just post every day. Like, just no matter if you feel good or you feel bad, just post every day. And I've got like a massive imposter syndrome, and I've like my whole life, I just hated sharing public speaking or anything like that. So for me, like social media, I find it really difficult to be like, oh, I don't like sharing stuff and stuff like that. Yeah. Whereas like, I know if I just commit to posting every day, eventually it will work out. So I think it really is just like, it's like, do what you say you're going to do and just keep doing it over and over again, with also like learning along the way as well. Like, if you're doing something wrong and it just keeps going wrong every time, like maybe look back and see why it's going wrong, and then like readjust the plan then as well. Cause like even during like a lot of my stuff for the half Ironmans, like the first couple of days were probably like, I know the first day was a complete disaster. Like I didn't eat enough food. I didn't, it was like boiling hot. I didn't have enough cold drinks. Like I didn't have enough fluid. Like I ran out of fluid on the run. Like, just like stuff like that was just like a complete shit show. And then like day one, I was like, oh, what are we in for here? Like, just like along the way, like I think I really learned was like, all right, that's not how we're doing it. How can we make it better? And then it got to like day 4. Then there was like still different bits and pieces going wrong. Like I think day 4 or whatever, on my bike, so I was drinking, I was having like 3 bottles with these things called like Tailwind. So it's like a carb powder, and it was like that was how I was getting a lot of my fueling in for the day, like a lot of my calories and a lot of my carbs in. And like I got halfway through the bike ride, I'm like, these taste like really weak. Like it tastes like I'm just drinking water. Like, what's happened? And then I'll ring up and I'm like, did you all put, like, because I had my parents were there and Tay's parents were like sort of helping out as well. I'm like, did you just make sure you all put 3 scoops in each of these? And they're like, and then I hear in the back, I'm like, oh no, I thought it was only 1 scoop. And I'm like, oh, as well. I was like, I got to the end of the day and I was just like buggered because I wasn't getting enough food in, enough drink in. So like there's lots of little bits and pieces that I was like, okay, this is like trying to systemize stuff to make it work well and just like committing to that process as well. And I think it's always good to have like big goals. Like the big goals is always the things that I think if it doesn't scare you, you don't commit to it enough. That's like one thing that I've always learned. Like I actually done like a little potty on this yesterday and I was like, the magic of like thinking big. Like, and if you go and think about big goals and something that scares you, you're more likely to go and get a lot closer to that goal. Like it's like aim for the moon, land on the stars sort of thing. Like, but it's also like, even if you pick a big goal and it scares you, like you're going to put in a lot more harder work to go towards that. Whereas if you pick a goal that you're like, oh, that's like pretty achievable. Like it is what it is. Like I'll either hit it or I won't hit it. Like I should hit it without even trying.
Right.
Then you're probably like less likely to hit that goal, I think.
Yeah, for sure. I think also, kind of back on what you were just saying, right? I mean, you gotta don't quit, but you also have to start. Once you start, don't quit. So if you have a big goal and you're trying to get to that, I mean, a lot of people maybe that goal scares them a little bit, but just go, right? Just get off the couch, start moving, and then just break it down a little bit. Find out the little things that you can do to accomplish that, and keep pushing.
It's a bit like putting it out there. When I put out that I was going to do the half Ironman, it's like I felt like the biggest fraud because at that stage I'd only ever done 1 half Ironman, and here I am saying I'm going to go and do 36 in 36 days. I was like, oh, everyone probably looks at me like I'm the biggest idiot. Like, what am I thinking? But I think once I put it out there, I was like, well, you've told everyone you're going to do it. You better make sure it happens. So yeah, that's definitely bang on what you said there.
Yeah, man, that's I like it. Sorry, you can hear my dog probably making some noise next to me. Ben, yeah, I mean, and learning from your mistakes. I mean, that's like with everything in life, man. I feel like, at 26 years old, you got a lot of this stuff figured out. Takes a lot of us a long time to figure out some of this stuff, but you're on the right path with that. That's great. And I struggle with that a lot too. I'm gonna have to take that from you. Maybe just especially like posting. I don't like myself on camera. I mean, I'm on camera right now, but I don't like pictures of myself. I don't like any of that. So posting on social media, especially doing videos and stuff, I've tried to do more of it lately just to get that out of my system. Yeah, because when you do more of it, it's just going to feel normal. So just get it out the way, get off the couch, get started, don't quit, and then just kind of learn from your mistakes with everything. So I mean, I'm sure you've probably posted some things. Maybe you were like, oh, well, hey, it's good enough. You ship it, and then the next time you're going to learn from that and do something maybe a little bit different, pivot. So.
Yeah, and I always think like trying to improve and trying to get better. Like last year when I done 75 hard, my partner Tay, she said, oh, you should post every day while you're doing 75 hard. And I was like, oh, that's actually a good idea. Like I'll share the story. And I got so over posting so quick. Yeah. And then the thing was, it was because like, I think I posted like a couple that were like meaningful. And then I got to a stage where like one day I literally downloaded someone else's video and uploaded it as mine. Like it was just like a shitty little motivation video. And then after that, I was like, oh, that was like a pretty easy shortcut. Like it was an easy way to just get a tick for the day. And then I started doing it a couple of times, and then it just got to a stage where I was just like so over posting every day. Like I resented my phone. Like every time I looked at my phone, I'm like, oh, I've got to do a video. But it was because like I wasn't at the start, like looking back at those videos and going, all right, how can I make this better? How can I like feel better about it? What can I do better to like actually make myself more comfortable? And yeah, like you said, like just learning along the way whilst you're doing it, it makes a massive difference.
Yeah. And so you're not doing any sort of competitions right now, but you're trying to stay in the fitness, world. But I mean, one of the things that I know that you're trying to do is really like build community around some of the fitness stuff that when you guys kind of came to America. I know you really loved that part about First Form and just kind of like American culture too, which is kind of funny because you're actually going to be the third Australian that I've had on the podcast, and every single one of them just loves America. It's pretty interesting to me. But going back to Australia and trying to take some of those lessons and build community around some fitness, what are your goals there? What are you trying to do? I know you've been doing some podcasting and things.
Yeah, so for me, like, I'm still like trying to find my feet, and it was when I actually like left first form, and like that was just super by luck and super by chance that we even were there at the same time as you guys, like with Jenna's group. But like normally first form's a special people, like you either work there or you get invited to go there, and they don't let like everyday people through there. And on the Friday afternoon, me and Tay, we rocked up there, and I was like, I've always said, like, whenever I go to America, I'm going to go to first form. I'm going to see the gym. And going in there, and then we bumped into Jenna, and she was like, oh, you guys should come to like our weekend, like throughout. And I'm like, oh yeah, that would be so awesome, which was so lucky. But then like just seeing the community that she's built, seeing the community that like first form had built, and like changing people's lives in such a big way. Like, and it's no matter who you are, like it was all like everyone had a story about how they'd change their life in a positive way throughout that. And I was like, that's so cool, because in Australia, there's like a real big thing. It's like, oh, you see all like the fitness influencers, and that's all you see. Like, and it's a very popular thing over here, but it's like, you don't see the people that are also doing the work that have got to bring themselves down from like, I don't know, 300 pounds or whatever it is, and like lose weight. And you don't really see those. You always see I guess the quote unquote, like the pretty boys and the super fit guys, and that's all you see over here. And like, I sort of want to build a space where it's like everyday people can come in and share their stories and like help them live their best sort of life. So, and it's been a bit tough for us as well. Like, we've just moved up to a different place. So if I had started in Brisbane, like I knew tons of people in Brisbane and knew everyone that ran there. Whereas like the first couple of weekends of the run club up here, because I don't know anyone, the first week we had 5 people. I was like, oh, perfect. That's pretty good. And then the next week it was just me and Tay. And then the week after again, like we need to get some more people here. But I just want to, I'm doing like a weekly Wednesday night call, and I'm just like trying to learn along the way as well. Like what works best for me, what works for other people. I've got a young guy that I'm mentoring as well. He's 22 and he's a super cool kid. But last year he had a bull riding accident and he snapped his tibia and fibula and had a compound fracture. And they done surgery on it, put him at a rod back in his leg, and then the bone actually got infected. So they had to go back in and cut out some bone out of his leg. So then the whole year, this year, he's only just went back to work. He's a carpenter as well. And he just went back to work. And I said, well, man, like, look, consider me like your coach. Like, I want to help you out and coach you along the way, getting him back on his feet. So just like little pieces like that. Like, I'm just like trying to find my feet about how can I help everyday people just become the best version of themselves. Like, there's such a culture, and it's probably a thing over in America as well, like where you see all these people go and do these massive fitness things, which I've done, but I also feel like it's cool to go and do it, but I don't think it fills up like the cup of your life. Whereas like if you go and be fit every day, like you're going to come home a happier person, you're going to live a happier, healthier life. Like, and that's one thing that I just want to like really help project to people. Like, you don't have to go and chase, like go and run for 5 hours every weekend to become the best version of yourself. But it becomes through doing and changing little bits of habits like day by day, really, and just becoming the best version of yourself. And also not putting a lot of pressure on yourself, but just like going in there and just being like, this is what I'm going to do, and trying to be happy about life. Like, I think the biggest thing as well, and it's so easy to get caught up in, I think, like I look at the running community and stuff like that as well. And I know like a lot of runners have started their transformation doing 75 hard. And I think a lot of people like trade one addiction for another addiction, which is one thing as well. So I know for me, especially when I started doing like my half Ironmans and everything, it was like, okay, I'd stopped drinking. That was like my addiction. Now it's like all on fitness. And I didn't really like learn how to like make, like I obviously would run with friends and that, which felt all like super good, but I was also like, I didn't know how to like not put myself under like extreme pressure of like, oh, this is what you got to do, like you've always got to chase and be bigger and bigger and bigger. I didn't know how to just like work it out to be like, look, you can just be fit and happy and sort of take like some days like pull back the reins a little bit and be like, oh look, I'm gonna for example, like go and have a beer, or just like even just go and have like obviously if you're not doing something hard, but if you're like trying to be fit and healthy and just go and have a cheat meal and go and have a laugh, or not track your food for one day and stuff like that. And I'm like, oh, that will allow people to like add that extra bit of happiness to their life. And I think that's the big goal out of life, is like how much happiness can you live in your life is obviously the biggest thing. And that's the number one reason to be fit, so you can get more happiness out of your life, is what I feel.
Yeah, I'm with you 100% on that. I mean, even just because you feel better, a lot of people look at maybe more of fitness, and you're like, man, you're putting yourself through hell. What would you do that for on your weekends? But it helps, you push a little bit on the weekend, it's not just the weekend for me, and it's not for you either, but for a lot of people, you got to put in the work, and then throughout the week you feel, like $1 million, because it's no fun to be overweight. I've been, my weight over the years has done this a lot. I've been really fat. I've been much skinnier, I've been, more fit. I've kind of been the whole gamut of it. And right now at 46 years old, I'm in one of the best shapes I've been in, and at least for a very long time, very low stress. A lot of that has to do with, working out as well. So it's just it's a completely different lifestyle, but even though you have to put in a lot of work to get it, it does, make your life easier in the long run. One of the things I was going to say too, which is awesome, having your, like a mentor, when you said you did, 36 half triathlons in 36 days. And then after, you're kind of like, all right, you're in a funk. You're like, all right, I did that, I mean, it's great when you can do things yourself, but when you can actually help somebody else, along the way and improve too, that's just a bit of a bigger purpose. At least, that sort of thing for me, because I don't really care. I try to, I don't really like to talk about a lot of the stuff that maybe I've done or whatever, but, but it's nice to be able to help people. And I'm with you on that is, I think what really matters, right? Those are the kinds of things that when you have, at your funeral, those are the stories people will tell about you, and how much you've helped people, what you've done for them, and maybe, I don't know if you've done it right or done it wrong, but, I feel like, if you get to that stage and people come to your funeral and say all those things, that a lot of people might be looking around, well, I didn't know that. Because you're not necessarily putting it out there, but you are that person for somebody. You're really helping people be better. And, I think that's awesome. So yeah, hopefully you get more opportunities to work with some younger folks and can help them through hard times.
Yeah, because that's like, I got a coach that sort of helps me out a little bit. And when I first told him my story, I've been super lucky, pretty much at this age, I could nearly I'm not even working, I'm starting my own business at the moment, but I wouldn't have to really go and work, and I'm super lucky. I've been able to nearly retire myself by the age of 26, and I don't really like sharing that story. And I'm like, oh, I don't really, I feel like a bit of a dick sometimes sharing it. And he's like, man, that's selfish not sharing that story. He's like, think about how many people's lives you could change by sharing that and making that happen for other people. And that was a big perspective shift for me. I was like, yeah, he's pretty right about that. Imagine if you could go and make that happen for so many other people. And it was the reason I wasn't sharing it was because it's not my ego. It's but I just I didn't want to share it. I felt like everyone would be like, oh, look at this idiot, trying to tell us this and whatever. But it's I've done the hard work. I've got the proof to show it. Which now it's just really, I guess, trying to still overcome my own mindset of just be go out there and share it and try and help as many people, do as much good as possible is one of the big things. Yeah.
Yeah, man, that's awesome. I keep looking at that thing behind you. Explain to me what that is. What is the kangaroo with the boxing gloves? What is that? Is that a soccer team or something?
Oh no! So this is it's I guess how Andy's got the bison on his hat, on his So that's the Australian. Yeah. So the bison. Yeah. This is one thing that I wanted to try and start bringing back to Australia when I came back from the States was over here, like I guess not a lot of people show a lot of pride in like where they're from, because whether you're racist or whatever it is, like there's all this sort of stuff that we're sort of dealing with at the moment. But a lot of people like aren't proud to sort of like get out there and say they're Australian. And so this isn't the Australian flag. This is just like a little remix of it, but it's got like the Aussie boxing kangaroo, which kangaroos can't take a backward step. So that's why they kangaroos and emus, which are our two national animals, can't walk backwards.
Really?
So yeah.
Learn something new every day. That's interesting. Okay.
Yeah. So
I like that.
that's just one thing that I've like started to like, because I like how like obviously you've got like the bison, and it's like that mentality of I think Annie tells a story of like bisons don't try and get away from the storm, they actually go straight through the storm. And I was like, really like that. I'm like, what can I share more about like Aussie animals? And that, yeah, obviously we've got the boxing kangaroo, of just about like, yeah, you can't take that backward step, like you got to go forward. And yeah, like I'm super passionate about trying to make Australia as good as possible, like have people like really do as much good as possible. Like even now that we've moved up here, one thing that I try and do on all my runs, and we heard like Dustin was talking about how when he was on his ruck during one of his 75 workouts where he picked up the garbage bin fell over, and he picked up all the rubbish and put it back in the bin. And I was like, that's really cool. So now like on all my runs, like whenever I see rubbish, like I literally just like end up with handfuls of rubbish, and until I get to the next bin. And a lot of people are like started to notice that, or like if I'm like bending over and be like, oh, I was actually just about to pick that up and stuff like that. So it's like really cool to like just like start showing a bit of pride. And where we live as well, there's like so our like veterans from World War One is called like the Anzacs. So when we teamed up with New Zealand, they're called the Anzacs. Like a big Anzac statue, which like is so cool. Like I love it. Like I run past it nearly every morning. And it gets like the sunrise, right behind it, right on the water. And it just like even along the whole boardwalk, so it goes for about 2 kilometers along the water there. They've got little plaques of all the people that served in World War One along there. And it's just like that's really rare for different communities in Australia to actually show that passion and show how proud we are of the people that fought for our country and stuff like that. So I want to try my best to really bring that back up and show like we're proud of like who we are.
Right.
And then just, yeah, like, cause it's such an awesome country. Like I love it, but we're really starting to lose like what makes us Australian to be like at the moment.
Yeah. And what are some of the driving factors of that? Like you kind of briefly mentioned it, but what do you think? Because I know in America, I mean, and overseas, I mean, a lot of people might look at us and they're like, oh, just as Americans, but man, we love our country for the most part. We have a very a big culture around patriotism and the American flag. What do you think are some of the reasons for maybe some of that kind of going away in Australia?
Like one of the big ones is the immigration here at the moment. So already this year we've had 500,000 immigrants come into Australia. And like to give like perspective on like how much that actually is, at the start of the year there was 25 million people here. So like what's that? That's like a 5%. No, that's not right, is it?
I don't know. You lost me, but it's a lot.
Not compared to like how many people already live here.
Yeah.
Because we're all just populated like a lot along the east coast, and then there's a place west coast. But like all the middle of Australia really doesn't get used at all. Like there's no sort of big towns or anything. Like it's not like in America where you've got probably 3 to 4 hours between each big town. It's like got a couple of big towns along the east coast, and then once you get into the middle of Australia, it's like you might see a town of maybe like 100 to 200 people every now and again. Like there might be a couple big ones of maybe 30,000, but like that's it. Like once you get inland, and I think that really dilutes like what Australians is. And then I also feel like the government, we've got one of our parties as well called the Greens, which is really trying to push like a lot of the LGBTQ stuff and just like really stuff that's like unnecessary. Like I'm happy for anyone to date whoever they want to date or whatever, but it's like when you're trying to start bringing it into schools and they just like really sort of like trying to break down the family household in that way as well. And then at the moment, like we're just getting taxed for everything as well. Like they're just like trying to bring in a new thing. So I think it's for you guys, it's your 401k, like your savings for retirement.
Yeah.
Right. So so we're over here.
That's one of them. Yeah.
Yep. So we got over here a thing called super, where it's like, or like your employee while you're working will like put a bit of money in towards your super. Or if you're a business owner, like you can salary sacrifice and put money into your super as well. And now they've just like brought in this loophole where they want to tax unrealized gains of people in their super that's over $3 million. So like say if someone might own a house in their super and it's worth over $3 million, like they might have brought their own, it's like a lot of and like the reason they're trying to do this is to like break down a lot of the farmers. So the farmers, they got like advised, oh yeah, buy your house in your super. So then like it's safe and it's whatever. Now that farm is worth over $3 million, the government have been like, oh, well now whatever that is over $3 million, it's like you've got to pay tax on those unrealized gains, even though you haven't sold that property yet. So it's like these farmers that have got no money, and they're like a lot of people down in south of Australia in massive drought. So they've already got no money because they can't feed they're trying to buy a lot of feed to feed all their animals. Now they're like really just like cutthroating them. Like there's one really sad radio thing that I listened to the other day, and this guy jumped on. He's like, look, this is how bad it is. He's like, I am literally awake for 21 hours a day. He's like, I sleep for 3 hours a day trying to get around and feed all my animals. He's like, I just had to go and take my guns. I had to go and give my keys to my gun safe to my neighbor because he's like, I am that close to going and blowing my own head off. Like, and that is very real for a lot of people down there. And it's just sad. Like really, all Australia is really just trying to sell itself off to China at the moment. Like it's just the biggest, just letting immigrants come in from everywhere and just really dilute the young, hardworking Aussies that are trying to make a life for himself. Even like a lot of my friends, like because like they might go to uni or anything like that. And now like the property market here in the last 5 years has doubled, if not close to tripled. So like it is like they're trying to save for a deposit, and as they're saving for a deposit, it just keeps on getting further and further away from them. Right. And then a family of Indians might move over and buy that house that they were trying to save up for. So like I know over in Perth, which is in Western Australia, I was buying investment properties for people over there. And when I first started buying investment properties over there, it was $350,000. And I just got a call from a real estate agent the other day just to like call and catch up and whatnot. And that was 3 years ago since I brought my house there for $350,000. Now it's worth $700,000. He's like, and that's because of the immigration that is coming over here. He's like, it is just like they just keep outbidding everyone by crazy amounts of numbers. So it's really just like trying to like a lot of the hard working Australians is just really diluting. And I know like even like my coach, he was a multi-millionaire in Australia, and he just sold everything, like sold his house, sold all his businesses, and he's just moved over to Cyprus because he's like, I was sick to death of paying like about 30 to 40% of tax on all his money. And he's like, for what? He's like, literally, we've got like a thing over here, which is NDIS, which is for disability. And he's like, I can't remember the exact amount of money that goes to that every year, but it is like completely absurd. Like the money that all these disability companies are making is just like, it's wrong.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's a lot of our tax money isn't going to the right places, and which is forcing like a lot of people that are in the know when they do have the chance to leave the country, which are wealthy people, are leaving with all their money as well. So I think that's what they want. They really want all the wealthy people to end up leaving. So Australia's just left full of sheep, and then they can control us as much as possible. That's the thing.
Yeah, I mean, that's sad. It's you obviously, love Australia, and that's, us here in America, we deal with a lot of the exact same issues. Sad to see that, it's kind of a trend maybe right now, but, especially the taxation piece, taxation without representation didn't work out too well the first time. So we'll see how it works this time, because I think a lot of people are getting pretty fed up. But
the big thing that I'm curious about it all is like, and like we don't have to go down the rabbit hole, but like I know a lot of countries now are like trying to invite people with Bitcoin and everything over there. So like that's like my coach, he's in Cyprus now, and he's like, man, he's like, it's just pretty much all Bitcoin. And so yeah, it'll be very interesting to see where it all ends up, and that's for sure, whether all these countries do end up, or yeah, it's going to be a long road ahead.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, you've got a long road ahead of you, trying to build what you're building, and be like the kangaroo. Don't take a step back.
Yeah, exactly.
Learn from all your potential mistakes, and just don't quit, man.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
It was good chatting with you, brother. If you ever need anything, definitely let me know, but we'll stay in touch. I love following you on social media. Actually, why don't you let us know exactly where there's the best place to connect with you?
Yeah, so if you just want to follow along, my Instagram is Layno, LAYNEO_insano. So yeah, jump on there, give us a follow, or send us a message, and yeah, it'd be good to keep in touch with people.
Yeah, love it, dude. Layno Insano. All right, man. Well, really appreciate it. I want to keep in touch with you. Love you guys. So yeah, I'm glad we had the good fortune of meeting you in St. Louis, and then again, actually over here and hanging out a little bit in Arizona when you guys went through. So one day we'll make it over to Australia, and we'll hang out over on the Sunshine Coast.
You get the beach, mate. Get that beach life. Get the tan on.
Yeah, I might not get in the water, but I'll get my tan on for sure.
It's too good not to get in the water over here. It's awesome.
Yeah, I might. Just win in Rome. So
yeah.
All right, man. Yeah, it was great chatting with you, and we'll stay in touch.
Mate, catch up.
Hey guys, thank you for sticking around for the conversation, and I want to thank Layne for sharing a bit about his life and really everything that he has going on there in the community and everything he's trying to build over in Australia. So I always learn a lot by these conversations, and I'm sure you get a lot out of the discussions as well. That being said, I'd love to learn a little bit more about you and other topics, so make sure you sign up to be my next guest. I'm looking forward to hitting record on your life and sharing your story. So head on over to strangerconversationspodcast.com, linked here in the show notes, and sign up. Don't forget to follow me at Real Tay Jones on your favorite social media platforms. And, as I mentioned at the beginning, a video version of this podcast is now on YouTube. So head on over there before you leave and check it out. Like, follow, share, and subscribe to the Stranger Conversations podcast. Doing so really helps the algorithms put the show in front of more listeners, and that's really what we're trying to do here. So your support, it really means a lot, and that's about it. I'm Tay Jones, and we'll chat next time.